Olá, quanto tempo, não é? Pois, eu já há muito tempo que eu não publico um vídeo, honestamente eu já nem me lembro quando é que foi o último. Mas bem, eu hoje tenho um vídeo que muita gente vai considerar polémico devido ao tema que é, muito provavelmente vocês já sabem, porque já viram no título, obviamente. Nós vamos ver o que é que os bilionários pensam sobre Bitcoin e sobre outras criptomoedas, em geral, ok? E que isto vai aquecer, ok? Vamos lá, divirtam-se.
Tesla could potentially make more money from its Bitcoin investment this year than profits from electric cars in all of 2020. What's your take on that? What's your Bitcoin take and the fact that the price can just go up or down based on a simple tweet from him?
Well, look, Elon has tons of money and he's very sophisticated. So, I don't worry that, his Bitcoin will sort of randomly go up or down. I do think people get bought into these manias who may not have as much money to spare. So I'm not bullish on Bitcoin. And, my general thought would be that, if you have less money than Elon, you should probably watch out.
Why aren't you bullish on Bitcoin?
Look, there are things we invest in society that produce output. Bitcoin happens to use a lot of energy. It happens to promote anonymous transactions. They're not reversible transactions. The Gates Foundation does a lot in terms of digital currency, but those are things where you can see who's making the transaction. So digital money is a good thing. And, there's a different approach that's local currency and attributed and, deals with all the money laundering and terrorism type regulations, and yet gives you the very the convenience and the low cost of transaction. And so, our foundation is very proud that in the pandemic, a lot of the countries we funded to do this were able to get money out to their citizens very, very efficiently. So that's something that it's not got the visibility of Bitcoin, but the move towards digital money that we're very engaged in is a super positive thing that eventually will get to even the poorest countries.
I'm neither here nor there on Bitcoin. Yeah.
What did you think when you read Satoshi's white paper for the first time? Were you like, oh, it's pretty interesting? Or
That was pretty clever. It's just like the things. Yeah. This always gets the crypto people angry, but there are transactions that are not within the bounds of the law, and there are obviously many laws in different countries, and normally cash is used for these transactions. But in order for illegal transactions to occur, the cash must also be used for legal transactions. You need an illegal to legal bridge. That's where crypto comes in.
So is it kind of the dark net stuff?
It can't be entirely dark, because otherwise how do you buy normal stuff?
True. Yeah.
And cash these days is used just much rarer. Mm-hmm. It's hard. It's increasingly difficult to use cash. Some places you can't use cash at all.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. True.
So there's a forcing function for transactions that are illegal, quasi-legal, and in some cases legal. But it's got to have some. It's got to be both legal and illegal. It doesn't count otherwise. Otherwise, you simply it can't just be transactions within an illegal economy. Because how do you buy food in a house or something? You must have a legal to illegal bridge. So where I see crypto as effectively as a replacement for cash, but not as a replacement as a primary. I do not see crypto being the primary database. So now this is sometimes taken being I'm being judgmental about crypto, and it's actually, I think there's a lot of things that are illegal that shouldn't be illegal. But So it's not as though, I think that sometimes governments just have too many laws about that they shouldn't have so many things that are illegal.
Didn't you say like on Mars there'd be less laws?
Hopefully.
Yeah.
I've always maintained, and I would just tell you today as well, that this is an instrument that you use as a hedge. I don't think this is something that you trade. And the more that people obsess and focus, in my opinion at least, on what the price action is, the more that it will confound you, the more it will frustrate you, the more that it will look correlated to other assets. But the reality is it's fundamentally not, because it is underpinned by a set of beliefs that are completely orthogonal to the orthodoxy that runs the world today. And it is completely the inverse of how the financial infrastructure of the world operates. So from my perspective, I still think that what I talked about sort of 8 or 9 years ago still holds, which is as a 1% hedge in our portfolio. I think of this as the insurance policy I use to sleep soundly at night, just in case the central banks and the governments of the world step on a landmine. That will perform. And so between now and then, I just think the more people obsess about price action and the more that they want it to behave like a stock or a bond, the more frustrated they're going to get. They're going to find ways of connecting dots that don't exist. It's just not what it is. The last few million coins of Bitcoin are obviously going to cost more energy than the first, 18 million. But in the grand scheme of things, again, this is something that, in Bitcoin parlance, people say hodl. You buy it, you hold it, you put it away. And honestly, I think you hope that you never need it, because the amount of actual chaos that will drive Bitcoin appreciation is not something we actually really want to see. Now, that being said, if it does happen, I think it will create an enormous power redistribution, and it will push power, it'll push financial accessibility to the edges, to billions and billions of people. And in that, I think there's something to be really proud and excited about.
Crypto. How much of your dough do you have tied up in cryptocurrencies?
None.
So you think it's bullshit?
I don't know that it's bullshit, but you have to ask how to value it, and people value it in different ways, particularly blockchain. Particularly Bitcoin. So with Bitcoin, some people value it as a store of value, which makes it like baseball cards, art, gold.
And they have value?
They have value because people see value in it, not because they have intrinsic value.
So you say they have no intrinsic value. What is the intrinsic value of gold then?
Minimal intrinsic value for manufacturing and jewelry, but not enough to justify the price of gold that it typically trades at. The delta between the intrinsic value, the manufacturing / jewelry, and what it's being sold for, what it's being valued at on markets, is what they call store of value, because people want to invest in it because they think if certain circumstances occur that it
like
will,
a pandemic, for example,
whatever it may be, that people there will be potential buyers at that value, so they see it as storing value, and they do it in gold.
It sounds like you prefer to own gold to store value than cryptocurrencies.
I prefer neither right now.
Okay.
Because I've never been a gold fan, because like I said, the delta between intrinsic and trading value is what people invest and see in it, but it's no different than tulips, it's no different than baseball cards, it's no different than a lot of different things, because it's only worth what you think someone else will pay for.
You're basically saying it's a speculation.
Yeah, of course.
Okay, let's talk about blockchain. To me, that is actually a non-proprietary utility.
Right.
Why would that in any way be a storage of value, blockchain? Anybody can use it.
Blockchain effectively is software.
Okay, so
it's a distributed database that's managed independently, and that inherent combination makes it a utility, makes it software effectively that has value and utility.
So when somebody's running around trying to raise a blockchain fund, that's just a software for hire fund.
In some respects, but there's a specific, there are very unique use cases for blockchain. So for instance, when people say there's no value no intrinsic value to crypto, they don't really look at the value of blockchain. Now, when you take blockchains from different types of cryptocurrency, Bitcoin versus Ethereum versus others, there's significant differences, but blockchain in general does have at least a basic intrinsic value. Not as high as what the cryptos trade for, but there is basic intrinsic value. And I'll give you an example. If, for instance, there was a blockchain-driven general ledger system that had auditing capabilities.
Yeah.
So, for instance, for a big company, you wanted to have a truly independent auditor that would, so you would set up a general ledger system using blockchains where an external third party would be able to look at different segments of the general ledger. There wouldn't just be one auditor. You can have three.
It makes the process more efficient, so it adds value there.
Well, but it makes it not just more efficient, but it makes it truly independent.
But there's no equity that I can buy in blockchain.
Well, but let me finish. Imagine if this was a system used for Enron.
Yeah.
So that instead of having Arthur Anderson doing their auditing and their accounting, and we know what happened from there, the auditors and the accountants, there were three different auditors and accountants that just using blockchain were able to look at a specific segment of their general ledger. And so
they would have caught the fraud way earlier.
They would have caught the fraud because you couldn't fake out all three of them.
So it has utility there. I get that.
Because its volatility is so great, it's not an effective storehold of wealth. So it is a speculative vehicle, now highly speculative vehicle, based on blockchain, which is a very impressive technology. So very similar right now, I would say, to what the internet was, let's say in 2000, okay? So what the internet was, a fabulous force, blockchain is a fabulous force, and there will be cryptocurrencies. They will be produced by central banks, by the way, as well as they'll be produced by this marketplace. And the blockchain I'm sold on as a great concept, but whether you're going to have which cryptocurrency is going to be effective and what that'll look like is a whole different question. Like Bitcoin could be BlackBerry. In other words, you can have Ethereum come along and replace that, and that'll all change. And so, and it is going through this speculative bubble now. A lot of the particular people are in it for a particular, are they knowledgeable? Do we know intrinsic value? Is there that frame of reference? Or are you buying it to resell it quickly and so on? Those create elements of bubble. So very interesting, very significant potential with the blockchain underneath it. Potentially valuable. What I would hope is that it could be very effective as a medium of exchange. Wow, that would be a great thing if they made that very effective quickly so you're using it, and that you could create enough stability in that price so that the uncertainty of the price movement doesn't stand as an impediment to its usage as a currency or its storehold of wealth.
Today you're going to learn something that you guys should understand. It's called crypto. Everybody who made money started early in crypto. I mean, they went up and down, went from $1 to $5 million to 10 cents to $300 million and down again. And, the Mt. Gox went bankrupt, which everybody loved. All the old guys loved that one. But in the meantime, crypto, or specifically Bitcoin, is hanging on. And so I made a lot of my money investing in silver in 1964, and it was... Back then, it was really worth 10 cents. Today, it's worth $3. But anyway, that's the name of the game. To get a little bit early, and then I bought my first gold coin in 1972 in Hong Kong because it was illegal for Americans to own gold. So the key to success is being early, getting on the train. And the reason I say the idiots out there are still saving dollars, you got to be kidding me. And bitching about Trump not paying taxes. You got to be kidding me on that one. But anyway, you better open your mind up. That's what I'm saying. So I'm an old guy. I have gold, silver, and Bitcoin. And I love crypto. I don't have any. I have a little bit. But the reason I like crypto is for one reason. It's outside the system. It doesn't depend on the Fed, the Federal Reserve Bank, or the Treasury, or Wall Street. Now, you like Wall Street. You believe in investing for the long term in the stock market for your retirement. I'll take laps around the rosary beads tonight. You're screwed. I mean, you really are screwed up if you think you're going to retire on that.
Bom, e então, que tal? Gostaram das opiniões? Bom, de certeza que muitos de vocês não gostaram do que ouviram, outros reviram-se completamente. Aquilo não interessa muito estar aqui a discutir quem é que concorda com isto ou com aquilo. O que interessa é partilhar as diferentes opiniões e, obviamente, elas todas são respeitadas. Os clipes que eu pus aqui, eles não representam de forma nenhuma aquilo que eu penso sobre criptoativos. Aliás, eu até tenho um vídeo sobre Bitcoin que vocês podem ver aqui, que mostra a minha perspectiva na altura sobre aquilo que eu pensava sobre as criptomoedas. Entretanto, lá para cá, eu já mudei de ideia, já comecei a investir em criptomoedas, ok? Por isso, uma pessoa hoje pode pensar uma coisa, noutra altura pode pensar outra e não há problema nenhum. Isto é um mundo completamente novo. O objetivo do vídeo é precisamente perceber o que é que estas pessoas, atenção que nós estamos a falar de bilionários, já têm uma idade generosa, não é? 50, 60 anos, alguns até mais, e portanto são extremamente maduros, já com muitos anos no mercado, têm muito conhecimento sobre os mercados financeiros e portanto eles têm uma palavra a dizer sobre, e têm alguma propriedade obviamente sobre aquilo que são as criptomoedas e não só, sobre o que é o sistema financeiro e como é que as criptomoedas podem influenciar o sistema financeiro. E, portanto, a opinião deles, obviamente, pelo menos para mim, para vocês se calhar podem não concordar, mas para mim interessa saber, precisamente pela experiência, pela carga profissional que eles já têm, que já contam com muitos anos no sistema financeiro, e sobre o que é que eles pensam sobre esta classe de ativos, ok? Eu volto a lembrar que os clipes que eu passei aqui não revêem de todo aquilo que eu penso sobre criptoativos, certo? Já agora, eu fui pesquisar pelo valor da Bitcoin desde que ele foi criado e vejam lá, 2009 foi quando a Bitcoin foi criada, ela valia 0, ok? Em 2012 valia $2. 2015 valia $200. Atenção que estes, ao longo do ano, obviamente, isto pode ter variado de $200, passou para 50 e de 50 passou para 300. Pronto, isto são valores médios, digamos assim. Portanto, não considerem o valor à letra, ok? Porque o mundo dos criptoativos é extremamente volátil. Em 2018, ele chegou a 6.200. Obviamente, nós sabemos que ele atingiu um máximo histórico de quase $20.000, que depois, todos nós sabemos, veio a cair e corrigiu o preço. Em 2019, ele foi aos 3.900. 2020, $4.000, $5.000, andou por ali, no momento em que a pandemia arrebentou, em março de 2020. E em 2021 atingiu quase $65.000 em abril, ok? Ou seja, ao contrário do dinheiro tradicional, quando os bancos centrais lhe apetecem, eles começam a imprimir aquilo à toa e, portanto, imprimindo e imprimindo mais dinheiro, isso faz com que a moeda fiduciária, portanto, as moedas que nós conhecemos, os dólares, os euros, as rúpias, as libras, etc., portanto, elas vão desvalorizando. Mais dinheiro entra no mercado, aquilo que nós temos desvaloriza, certo? E, portanto, a Bitcoin revelou-se precisamente um modelo deflacionário, ou seja, à medida que o tempo vai avançando, ela aumenta de valor. Ao contrário da moeda fiduciária que diminui de valor, desvaloriza, a Bitcoin aumenta de valor, ok? E, portanto, vocês lembrem-se, em 2012, nós comprávamos um café com Bitcoin. Em 2018 já podíamos comprar um carro com a mesma Bitcoin. E em 2021 tal é o valor que já dava para comprar uma casa. Se calhar uma casa pequenina, mas dava para comprar uma casa. Ok? Portanto, vejam de onde é que nós fomos. Desde poder comprar um café até poder comprar uma casa. Ok? E a tendência poderá ser o valor da moeda subir ainda mais. Ok? Bom, eu espero que o vídeo tenha despertado alguma curiosidade sobre este tema, que são os criptoativos, seja Bitcoin ou sobre outras criptomoedas. Deixa aqui nos comentários a tua opinião sobre este tema, ok? Obrigado por terem assistido, eu vejo-vos no próximo vídeo.